If ever there was a love story that epitomizes dating in our dystopian day and age, it may very well be Gary Shteyngart's super sad true love story, a darkly comical and seemingly prescient novel. Shteyngart is more famously known for Absurdistan, but Super Sad True Love Story seems more relevant now than ever, though it wasn't met with much enthusiasm at the time of its release in 2010. Before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below with your own dating stories, new and old. Super Sad True Love Story is centered around Lenny Abramov, a rather effete and neurotic protagonist. Like so many men today, Lenny is devoid of masculinity in any traditional sense aside from typical base desires. Lenny also suffers from the kind of erudition that so many confuse with actual understanding and wisdom, as though somehow an encyclopedic knowledge could automatically bestow one with the wisdom that is only found through experience and reflection. Here are a few quotes that epitomize Lenny's neuroticism. Quote, "My hair would continue to gray, and then one day it would fall out entirely, and then, on a day meaninglessly like the present one, I would disappear from the earth. And all these emotions, all these yearnings, if that helps to clinch the enormity of what I'm talking about, would be gone." Unquote. Here's another one. Quote, "Then I celebrated my wall of books. I counted the volumes on my 20-foot-long modernist bookshelf to make sure none had been misplaced or used as kindling by my subtenant." Unquote. That latter quote reminds me of a quip from Rumi that goes something like, "A donkey pulling a cart of the world's greatest books is still, wait for it, a donkey." So Lenny obsesses over Eunice Park, a much younger woman who suffers from her own particular neuroses. The two make an unlikely pair, a sort of comedic Bonnie and Clyde of existential despair. As the New York Times phrased it in their review more than a decade ago, quote, "Super Sad takes place in the near future, and Mr. Shteyngart has extrapolated every toxic development already at large in America to farcical extremes." Unquote. That extrapolation and those extremes are fully realized now for all of us. Existence is reduced to endless hours on our devices, and loneliness, isolation, and despair hover like vultures above us 24/7. NPR's review of Super Sad captures just how prescient the novel really was. Quote, "The last shreds of modesty have long since disappeared. Young women buy obscenely named undergarments that reveal pretty much everything, and the harshest, most degrading varieties of hardcore pornography have now become mainstream entertainment." Unquote. And adding to the strain is the fact that America has become a financially strapped police state, and the poor and disenfranchised are threatening to revolt. Unquote. Was that written with a crystal ball? Good God, that's incredibly accurate. Actually, check out another description of Super Sad True Love Story by the Globe and Mail. If you're not sold yet, you will be. Quote, "The current USA is fixed in a cult of youth based on the oversaturated Global Teens social media site, which has the phrase, 'less words equal more fun.' The US is called an unstable, barely governable country, presenting grave risk to the international system of corporate governance and exchange mechanisms." Unquote. I mean, this is us right now to a T. Who says no? Just replace Global Teens with TikTok. But maybe I'm just fast becoming a rag. RAG. And if you don't know what that is, it's an acronym from the novel. Look it up, you'll have a chuckle. More importantly, if you have at all dated in the last few years, you're well aware of the dystopian minefield out there. It's wild, it's comical, and it's often just weird. A brief glimpse into any clip from the Whatever podcast will drive home this point to exhaustion. Interactions and encounters are often just brief apparitions in the wind. No wonder ghosting is so commonplace. Everyone is so obsessed with finding red flags that giving anyone the benefit of the doubt is considered far too dangerous a leap of faith. And the very nature of online dating almost compels us to dehumanize one another with one meaningless swipe after the other. And then it's on to the next. I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. And forget about romance. It's become just another commodity in the endless refuse of consumerism. People are swiped out of sight and mind in an instant. Hooking up is commonplace and easy enough, but actual human connection is at an all-time premium. We can sexualize one another to a fatiguing degree, but finding any vestiges of humanity is more and more passé, requires too much effort, and dare I say, vulnerability. Side note, I just retched a little because I now find Brené Brown an insufferable corporate shill. Ironically enough, loneliness is now so commonplace it's an epidemic unto itself. According to a 2021 Harvard study, 61% of young adults are entrenched in what the study defines as serious loneliness, and it's only gotten worse. So I guess we have to laugh, right? I mean, it sure beats crying. I'm reminded of Ken Kesey's lines from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nests. Quote, "You have to laugh at the things that hurt you just to keep yourself in balance, just to keep the world from running you plumb crazy." Unquote. Those lines, of course, bring us back to Gary Shteyngart's super sad true love story. Whether intentional or not, a profound dearth of meaning resides at the heart of super sad true love story that mirrors our current collective plight. Emptiness is the order of the day. Our nether regions, our digestive tracts, our ephemeral desires take precedence over the beating of our hearts. Love is to be consumed, not experienced at the very depth of our being. Why? Because such depths have been discarded. The entire scope of our existence has been reduced to our lowest impulses and desires. And our obsession with youth has reached a bizarre fever pitch with no end or answer in sight except in the vain hope that all that Botox that now courses through everyone's veins will somehow finally numb our souls till death do us part.